Adrian stepped out first in his jet-black tuxedo, the very image of power and wealth. Then he offered me his hand. I emerged in a gown of champagne silk that clung to me like a second skin, sparkling under the sun like liquid gold. The hush that fell across the crowd was louder than any insult Ethan had ever thrown at me. Inside the ballroom, Vanessa laughed too loudly, clinging to Ethan's arm like a trophy. But when the whispers reached her, she turned toward the entrance, only for her smile to falter. Ethan looked next, and the moment his eyes met mine, he froze. The smugness drained from his face like blood from a wound. He gripped his glass so hard I thought it might shatter. Before we dive back into the drama, family, let me remind you, if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next twist. Trust me, the best parts are still ahead, and I don't want you left behind when the story heats up. Your support keeps this channel growing and helps me bring you more powerful stories every single week. My name is Sophia Lane, and this is the story of how my ex-husband's cruelest plan turned into the most humiliating day of his life. 2 years ago, I was nothing but a broken woman. I had given 6 years of my life, my love, and my loyalty to a man named Ethan Cole. One ordinary afternoon, Ethan looked me straight in the eyes and said coldly, "You're no longer the woman I need. I want someone younger, someone exciting." And just like that, he replaced me with Vanessa Price, a girl 10 years younger, a woman who wore my jewelry, lounged in my house, and paraded through my old life as if she had stolen my script. Ethan didn't leave quietly. He made sure everyone knew. Our so-called friends stopped calling. Neighbors whispered. My humiliation was the talk of the city. For months I fell apart. I stopped eating, stopped dressing up, stopped looking in the mirror. But then, one evening, my best friend Harper told me something that stuck like a dagger. "Sophia, he didn't destroy you. He freed you. Now rebuild." That was the beginning of my transformation. I rebuilt myself piece by piece. I joined the gym, hired a trainer, and forced myself out of bed every morning. I earned a promotion at work after completing a long-delayed business certification. My career flourished, my passport filled with stamps, and my reflection slowly became unrecognizable, in the best way. And then, when I least expected it, I met Adrian Blake in Milan. Adrian was everything Ethan was not. Powerful, yet kind. Confident, yet grounded. He adored me, not for who he wanted me to be, but for exactly who I was. With Adrian, I wasn't proving anything. I was simply living. Then, out of nowhere, it came. An envelope, heavy cream paper, gold embossing. Inside, the words made my blood run cold. "You are cordially invited to celebrate the wedding of Ethan Cole and Vanessa Price." At the bottom, a handwritten note. "Thought you might want to see how it's really done. Ethan." That wasn't an invitation. It was an execution notice for my pride. He wanted me to sit at the back, forgotten, while he flaunted his so-called victory. But instead of breaking me, his arrogance fueled me. When I showed the card to Adrian, he smiled coolly and said, "If he wants an audience, let's give him a show he'll never recover from." The day of the wedding arrived. Ethan had rented out a lavish vineyard in Cape Cod. Expensive cars lined the driveway. Guests in designer clothes sipped champagne, and music floated in the air. But when our Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up, everything stopped. Conversations died mid-sentence. Guests turned, phones lifted. Adrian stepped out first in his jet-black tuxedo, the very image of power and wealth. Then he offered me his hand. I emerged in a gown of champagne silk that clung to me like a second skin, sparkling under the sun like liquid gold. The hush that fell across the crowd was louder than any insult Ethan had ever thrown at me. Inside the ballroom, Vanessa laughed too loudly, clinging to Ethan's arm like a trophy. But when the whispers reached her, she turned toward the entrance, only for her smile to falter. Ethan looked next, and the moment his eyes met mine, he froze. The smugness drained from his face like blood from a wound. He gripped his glass so hard I thought it might shatter. I didn't rush. I didn't shrink. Adrian and I walked as though the room itself belonged to us. At the center of the hall, Adrian raised his voice just enough to be heard. "Good afternoon. I'm Adrian Blake, and this is my fiancée, Sophia Lane." The word fiancé exploded like a grenade. Gasps rippled through the crowd. All eyes shot to Ethan, then back to me. Vanessa tried to smile, but her lips trembled. Ethan just stood there, choking on the reality he had never imagined. I had not only moved on, I had risen higher than he could ever reach. I leaned in slightly, just enough for him to hear. "Congratulations, Ethan. You finally taught me how to outgrow you." We didn't stay long, just long enough for the photos, the whispers, and the humiliation to cement itself into history. Then Adrian and I left, hand in hand, without looking back. That night, as the city lights glittered outside our penthouse, my phone buzzed again and again. Ethan's messages grew desperate. "Sophia, I made a mistake letting you go. Please, I need to talk to you." "You didn't have to show up like that." I deleted them all. His regret wasn't love. It was the sting of losing control. And the cruelest twist of all, from that day forward, no one remembered his wedding for Vanessa's dress or the vows they exchanged. They remembered my entrance. Ethan's perfect day became the day his ex-wife rewrote the story, stole the spotlight, and left him with nothing but shame. Morale: never waste your energy proving yourself to the person who betrayed you. Invest in yourself, rise higher, and let your success become the loudest revenge. Because sometimes the sweetest humiliation is simply living better than they ever imagined. The whispers didn't die when Adrian and I left. If anything, they grew sharper, spreading like wildfire through the vineyard. Every guest had seen it. Ethan's face drained of pride, Vanessa's trembling smile, and the way the entire atmosphere shifted the moment I entered. By the time Ethan and Vanessa exchanged vows, nobody was listening. Half the guests were still buzzing about me. Some compared Adrian's wealth and status to Ethan's. Others whispered about how radiant I looked compared to Vanessa. The shadow of my presence hovered over every toast, every speech, every photograph. When Vanessa cut the cake, she noticed that more than half the room wasn't even watching. They were scrolling through their phones, replaying videos of my entrance. Hashtags were already trending, "Number the ex who stole the show." That's when the cracks began to show. Vanessa pulled Ethan aside, her voice sharp. "Why on earth did you invite her? Are you out of your mind?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "I wanted her to see what she lost." Vanessa's eyes widened in disbelief. "What she lost? Ethan, do you realize what you just did? Everyone's talking about her." "Not us. You turned our wedding into her stage." Her words hit harder than any champagne toast. Ethan glanced across the room, noticing that guests weren't crowding around him or Vanessa. They were huddled together, whispering, laughing, staring at the door I had walked through. Vanessa's fury only grew. "You've embarrassed me, Ethan, in front of everyone." She humiliated you, and you dragged me down with you. If this is what marriage looks like, maybe I made the wrong choice." The smile Ethan tried to paste back onto his face cracked under the weight of her words. His plan to destroy me had backfired so spectacularly that he was the one left in ruins. Later that night, as the reception limped forward, more damage was done. A prominent business associate, clearly impressed by Adrian, casually mentioned to Ethan, "Sophia really traded up, didn't she?" That single comment was a dagger. Ethan laughed weakly, but inside, humiliation burned him alive. Meanwhile, Vanessa slipped away to the bathroom, where she stayed for nearly 40 minutes, her makeup streaked with tears. Guests began whispering again. "The bride's crying. Did you see?" By the time she returned, her smile was gone. And me, I was in my penthouse, sipping champagne with Adrian, my phone buzzing nonstop. Ethan's texts had escalated from desperate apologies to bitter accusations. "You ruined everything. You didn't have to show up like that. Sophia, please, just give me a chance to explain." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The silence was my sharpest weapon. The next morning, the fallout was complete. Gossip blogs ran headlines. "The ex who outshined the bride. Chaos at Ethan Cole's wedding. Power couple Sophia Lane and Adrian Blake stunned at vineyard ceremony." Nobody cared about Ethan and Vanessa's vows. The world only wanted to talk about me. Vanessa's family was furious, calling the wedding a disgrace. Ethan tried to do damage control, but every attempt only fueled the rumors. His carefully crafted image of success had shattered in one night. Within a month, whispers of annulment circled. Vanessa refused to forgive him, and their marriage crumbled before it even began. Ethan had tried to bury me under humiliation, only to bury his own future instead. One evening, Harper called me, laughing breathlessly. "Sophia, do you realize what you did? You didn't just crash a wedding. You destroyed his legacy. No one will ever mention Ethan Cole without remembering the day his ex-wife stole the spotlight. You're a legend." And she was right, because Ethan's biggest day became his biggest downfall. And my arrival wasn't just unforgettable, it was unforgivable. The morning after the wedding, the fallout was no longer confined to whispers. It was splashed across headlines, blogs, and morning talk shows. Every outlet had the same story. Ethan Cole's wedding, overshadowed by ex-wife's grand entrance. Vanessa storms out in tears as guests praise Sophia Lane and Adrian Blake. Bride humiliated, groom mocked. Was the marriage a mistake? By noon, Ethan's company stock had dipped. Investors saw the public humiliation as a reflection of his poor judgment, and some quietly began withdrawing support. The scandal wasn't just gossip, it was business poison. At home, things were worse. Vanessa refused to return to their honeymoon suite. Instead, she locked herself in her family's estate, refusing Ethan's calls. Her father, a powerful businessman, summoned Ethan to his office. His words were cold. "You embarrassed my daughter. Do you know how many associates have called me about this? She's the laughingstock of society because of you. If you think I'll support your ventures after this, you're mistaken. Our family name will not be tied to yours." That was the moment Ethan realized his marriage wasn't just crumbling, it was being publicly dismantled. Within weeks, Vanessa filed for annulment. She did it loudly, releasing a statement through her family lawyer. My client, Vanessa Green, has chosen to dissolve her marriage to Ethan Cole due to public humiliation and irreconcilable betrayal. She deserves respect, not to be used as a pawn in someone else's obsession with their ex-wife. The story went viral. Vanessa was painted as the wronged woman, Ethan as the fool who destroyed his bride's dignity. His business meetings dried up. Invitations stopped arriving. Investors pulled out. The scandal became a permanent stain. Ethan's once sterling reputation was reduced to a joke. Clients would whisper, "Isn't he the guy whose wedding was ruined by his ex?" Others laughed. He couldn't even manage his marriage. How can he manage a company? Ethan's pride, his empire, his carefully built image, it all collapsed, and then came the lowest blow. One evening, drunk and broken, Ethan stood outside my penthouse. Rain poured over him as he pounded the glass doors, shouting up into the night. "Sophia, please, I need you. I made a mistake. Vanessa was never you. None of this means anything without you. Please, just talk to me." Adrian was inside, watching with quiet amusement, a glass of wine in hand. I stepped onto the balcony, my silk robe glowing under the lights, and looked down at the man who once thought he could humiliate me. His face was pale, desperate. His clothes clung to him in the rain. He looked nothing like the arrogant groom who had invited me to his wedding. He looked like a beggar. I leaned over the railing, my voice sharp as glass. "Ethan, you wanted me to watch you shine. Instead, I watched you burn. And now you're here, asking me to save you." His voice cracked. "Sophia, I love you. I always did. I was wrong. Please, just give me another chance." I laughed, a cold, merciless laugh. "No, Ethan, I don't rescue men who dig their own graves. You wanted to destroy me, and all you did was destroy yourself." Adrian slipped his arm around my waist, pulling me closer. Together, we turned and walked inside, leaving Ethan screaming my name in the rain. The security guards escorted him off the property. From that night on, Ethan disappeared from the circles that once worshipped him. His company crumbled. His name was reduced to a meme, a punchline in parties, a cautionary tale in boardrooms. And me? I didn't just survive his cruelty. I conquered it. I became untouchable. Ethan Cole's downfall was not just complete, it was permanent. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Your support, it means a lot to me. Just hit that notification bell for more powerful stories. Every week you will be the first to get the notification. Please like and share to your loved ones. That will encourage me to bring more and powerful for you. See you on my next video.